Hello everybody, David Kennedy, Canopy Realtor Association and MLS President, here with an ordinary realtor who did some extraordinary things.
Thank you. This is Brenda Hayden. I'm so glad to be here.
Brenda, tell us, how did you get into real estate?
Wow. So how did I get into real estate? It was really two friends that encouraged me to get into real estate. So obviously they saw something in me that I had not yet realized. But again, I think it was also just the perfect timing. Time for a change. I was in corporate America and, I just wanted change. And so I said, sure, let me try this thing.
So what were you doing before?
I was working for City Financial, doing credit finance, and yeah, that was that.
So you got did you get anything from the old jobs that really paid off for you here at being a realtor?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. I am the queen of all things credit, so I know how people mess it up, and I actually am certified to help people fix it as well. So that helped tremendously as a realtor.
So as you're a realtor, what kind of drew you into the leadership at the association? What motivated you to come and serve?
Wow. Really, because I've never been a person that likes to be on the back end of information. I like to know what's coming, and I'd like to be in a position to have impact and influence in whatever I'm doing. So, yeah.
So, who first planted the idea in your mind, or was it just something that you thought of to run for president?
Wow. Who first planted the idea? It's actually, it was quite interesting, I'll just say this. My first entry into the notion of being president came when I walked into our boardroom in our old building. And at that time, I saw no one that looked like me. When we had the old president's pictures on the walls, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. and it just made me ask the question, why not? But appreciating what the history had been, I knew it wasn't just something you show up for and someone adorns you with the title. You work, you show your dedication to our industry, and you put in the sweat equity, and voila.
So during your year, I think about the sheer scale of growth that we had on multiple fronts. The foundation established the Pearl Society, moved into a brand new building, and Haywood County merged. Talk to me first about the Pearl Society, from its beginning, its endowment, and
Wow.
and the impact you perceive for future generations.
Wow, so the Pearl Society is near and dear to me for so many reasons. But the number one reason why it is near and dear to me is because of the connectivity between who and what we are as an industry and the community. It's an opportunity for us as realtors to make our footprint in the community on another scale that has really nothing to do with real estate sales, but meeting folks throughout the whole continuum of housing, whether they're homeless or whether they're housed, and whatever needs there where we can be impactful and make a difference in our community.
So the night we had the kickoff, the Pearl Society, how much money did we raise that night? Do you remember?
Oh, I think we raised
to get
just that night 80,000.
80,000, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was great.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
There was a 5,000 level, 2,500, then I think 15 and 1,000. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Those founding members, and I love them all for that.
Yes. Yeah. And so now we've got the friends
of the Pearl Society.
Yes. And that can be anybody.
Absolutely.
And it's just what, $100?
$100.
Hey.
Yeah, it can be community members, it can be realtors, it can be friends of realtors. Yeah.
So that's the foundation, a big thing that happened to us on the foundation end. We moved into headquarters. I want to back you up a little bit because you were on the association board of realtors. I mean, probably one of the more exciting times to ever be an association board member. It was when we were negotiating the contract, we were developing our land. Kind of what was it, take us back to 2015, 16 and 17, where we're talking about what we're going to do with the land, who we're going to sell it to, doing the whole contract for a year, and then finally years later we're moving into the building.
Yeah, what a journey. That was exciting. It was scary because we would have these meetings as board members and executives, and everything had to stay under the hush.
Everything is in executive session.
It's like you'd have these meetings, and it's just like you're so excited about what's to come, but mum's the word. So when you left the building, it's like, I can't talk about that. Can't mention that, but so much is happening. And just to see the journey, even before I became a part of the board, the previous board members that laid the foundation, with even the acquisition of the original plots of land.
Yeah.
What visionaries? Who knew out of their efforts would come this, right? And then, of course, while we were doing all that, a crash course in marketing. That was amazing. I never knew so much about marketing and branding and, signage and furniture and all of the details we kind of take for granted.
Do you remember, we ended up going with Pappas. Do you remember the other guys? Do you remember the board meeting we had when Greenwood Cliff was there, the task force? It was like Jennifer Frontera, excuse me, and Daniel Cottingham, Anthony Lindsay.
Yes.
If Remsen was the chair, but then he went to president, so he put Lindsay in charge. And if you want somebody to really nail you with a few questions to kind of draw everything out, what was, to me, I know how the Greenwood Cliff Task Force helped me make the decision. How did their role kind of affect how easy or how difficult it was to know who the right person was to go with in Pappas?
One, I think the background, the history, the report of Pappas. And he's a hometown guy, right? So he got us, I believe, him and his organization got our vision. They were well respected in the community. And to answer your first question, I vaguely remember who the other guys were.
Me too.
His impression, the impact, the presentation was spot on.
Yep.
So it was just like, okay, we're done here.
I had all these notes on Pappas. I didn't have anything on the other guy.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to Roger Parham. We took a break, and I was like, is it really this easy?
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And I remember being I felt very lucky. I thought the Greenwood Cliff Task Force. That was my first major vote, our first major vote.
Task Force.
So we go all the way to, we actually as a board, we all as directors, we signed the contract. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I saved my pen, did you?
I did not. And actually, it's probably in my house somewhere, but we just moved in October, and there are boxes of stuff.
So I saw Heggie the other day.
Okay.
So we came on it. The three board members that came on in 15 were you, me, and Mike Heggie. And Mike was thinking about coming back. He's like, I might go back on the board. And I was like, it won't be the same.
Yeah.
I was like, it was 3 years we were there. It was once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
So as a board member there, you also chaired the Housing Foundation.
I did.
What were the big wins there? What were your takeaways? Was that something that kind of helped prepare you or galvanize you to run for president?
Wow. And I don't take this comment as a slight to the foundation, but I won't say that's my easy work, but that's my passion work. So it comes easier to me.
If you love it, it doesn't feel like work.
That's correct.
Right. Yeah.
Correct.
So.
My big win so many. The foundation, having its own board was a big win. Having community members part of that board, huge win. Adds so much value to what we do. And always Realtors Care Day.
Yeah, nice.
Realtors Care Day, suiting up. I can't wear those jeans this year, but suiting up every year.
So not for nothing, but the photo of the groundbreaking for the building
Yes.
is you and Vi Lyles cutting the ribbon. What significance do you think is there, or is it enough behind you to say, hey, this was a major development, and the two leaders here are not white, they're not male. What did that say about, hey, we're breaking new ground, we're moving into a state-of-the-art building, and B, what did that say that with regards to the leadership?
Yeah, that moment for me, and it's interesting because my husband was in the crowd. And when you're in the moment, you're doing the motions. You're trying not to overthink. But it wasn't until my husband said to me, "Do you know how powerful that moment was?" That it gave me a moment to reflect. That two African-American women could be at the helm of so much as a city and as an organization. It brought tears to my eyes. And in the back of my head, I said, "Good job, Pearl's daughter." So that's what I call myself whenever I do something good.
Nice. And I remember your remarks did mention that your mother's name was Pearl, and it meant a lot that it was the Pearl Society. What, I guess, when we're talking about Haywood County, we had some big wins on the foundation, huge to get us into a new building, new headquarters. How did Haywood County come about? How did they reach out to us? Did they reach out to you? I mean, at what point were you engaged in moving this along?
Yeah, again, it speaks to the work that we're doing here. Canopy Association has a huge footprint, not only in the state of North Carolina, but across the country. And Haywood County actually approached us about merging with us because of the work that we do, and our two organizations were so similar that it wasn't a hard blending to bring them together.
It almost felt like the key congruent factor was their foundation, and they saw an opportunity to build upon what they were trying to do in their community by partnering with our foundation.
Absolutely.
That was really the underlying reason, or it seems to me. So, and that's just, it's easy because you love it.
Yeah, and that speaks volume, right? Before the HOF had its own board, I mean, we were a committee. You know, when I joined as a committee member, it's like, okay, and we did what we did. But now, and when we have that level of impact that goes halfway across the state and can impact other communities on a larger scale, that speaks volume.
What was some of your tougher moments as president or as a leader, maybe your biggest obstacles, and then how did you get through it, and who was there to kind of help you out? If you did have anybody there to help you.
Okay, so toughest moments. I think I was a week into my presidency, and an article hit the Observer, an op-ed, saying how realtors were redlining. You remember that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and yes. I remember your response to it.
Yes.
And then I remember some guy. Yes.
Yes.
I did.
So that was a tough one for me. I mean, it's like you work hard to get to a place, and you're passionate, not only about the industry, but about the realtors in the industry, and to be accused of such an egregious thing, and it's just like, wow. And I really had to pause and think, are we doing that? Is that happening? And granted, we're all individual contractors, and people do things. Not all people may work to the level that we all are required to as realtors. But it really made me think for a moment. But at the heart of it, I know there's more good in our community than not. So yeah, that was a tough one.
Who was there to kind of help get you through it? That you remember kind of leaning on? I mean, I was there. I don't think I helped you all that much. But who was there to kind of help you through the tough times?
You know, we have great leadership within our organization, our CEO, other staff. that really rallied, I think, and we talked about it, and they heard my heart about what I felt, and really supported the response. Because, you know, the nature in me, I wanted to go out and kind of duke it out, like,
Yeah.
you know, this is my baby, these are my babies.
Yeah.
But that was big. And then that really confirmed for me that I had a great support system with my peers and the leadership within the organization.
What was, I guess, the proudest moment you had as president?
Opening this building?
Yeah? Yeah.
Well, I had so many. Pearl Society, opening this building. Just the foundation, like we were right there at meeting our endowment goal. I mean, that was huge. And just knowing what that money will do going forward, legacy after we're gone. And then when my daughter, my kids saw that I was president, they were like, you know, as parents, you're a parent, you know,
Yeah.
there's not much you can do to get your kids' attention. It's like, do you know who I saved today? What, you know, and it's like, eh. But they were like, wow, Mom, that's big. So, yeah.
So you were there, we hit some big highlights for you, obviously. You were there the night, it was maybe 3-4 years ago tonight, when we raised $85,000 for RPAC.
Yes.
What was that night like? I remember you wore your crown and your sash. It was your birthday.
Everyone knows I'm a little obnoxious.
That's okay.
It's in the car, don't worry.
So what was that night like? You know, because you have a great presence on the foundation, but some of the great ideas we have on the foundation, you know, they need kind of political connections to kind of get the awareness politically. So, what does that night? What memories do you have of that night? Just being a part of that team that got that level of income.
That was an amazing night. I mean, from the beginning, everything just flowed. Casino night, the energy was good. It didn't feel like you were browbeating people to contribute. The gambling, good wine may have helped, but it was just so great. And I think for me, I saw some folks there that had not been RPAC contributors before, and it felt like it clicked and they got it, and they made their contribution, and they're sustaining contributors to this day. Literally, one of them I spoke to last week. He's like, no, he's on fire for RPAC. And for them to understand what RPAC is, it's not, you know, based on politics or political parties, but it's about our industry and really protecting our industry. And they got it, and they put their money where their mouth was.
So you will, correct me if I'm wrong, you will chair REBIC next year, is that right?
That is right.
And so are you the first African-American female to do that, or you just kind of get lost with being the first at doing so many things? Do you keep up with it anymore?
I don't.
Okay.
I really don't. You know, in your journey of life, you either want title or influence. And there's a time and a place for everything, right? Sometimes it's about the title, and that's fine. For me, where I am, it's really about the influence. What influence, what impact can I make in the community, be it on a different level, right? Still in our industry, real estate, but on a different level. So now the focus is more about policy that will have generational impact for a larger community. So, yeah.
What's some of the big key takeaways that you want the real estate industry, us as realtors, to kind of be mindful of as we move forward in the near future from that perspective?
Wow. One, the importance of being engaged and knowing that what we do matters in our community, not for 30 days, not for 90 days, but for generations. Ideally, getting more involved with city and county government, where policies are made that actually impact our industry. It's okay to have a conversation, to show up, you know, regardless of your political affiliation, show up and vote. Know what's coming down the pike for our community, and how it's going to affect us.
So, I don't know if this happened to you, but I got a call from Tony Smith before I take office or right after I took office, and he goes, I want to talk to you about what it means to be a realtor. So I called him back, and he never called me back. but,
I'm sure he was busy.
But I know, I'm sure he was busy. But it's an interesting question. What does it mean to you to be a realtor? What does that mean?
Oh. And that has evolved over time for me. You know, like when I first became a realtor, quite honestly, I didn't have a clue. I thought it was, showing pretty houses and, that kind of thing. And now I've come to understand that being a realtor and what we do when we take it seriously, we are the heartbeat of community. We have a duty as realtors to uphold a higher standard of ethics in our work and what we do. But if we in Charlotte want Charlotte and beyond now, healthier communities, it's going to take a realtor to make it happen.
So, your inauguration speech, I got a steel trap. Your inauguration speech, you talked about courage, the courage that it will take. Obviously, when you can't have courage absent fear. Mm-hmm. What are some ways that you would give advice to folks coming down the pipe, realtors coming down the pipe to overcome fear, and what does it take? Is it a day by day? Is it one big giant leap? What's courage? Mm-hmm. How has courage evolved for you over time?
Yeah, so I'll go back to that speech, right? I had this whole, I had this speech written, and literally, it didn't speak to who I am. So probably 24 hours before, I chucked the whole thing. Huh. And I really took time to think about what I was feeling. And that's when the courage came. I read a book, and the book said, feel the fear and do it anyway. That year, I actually did a lot of studying on fear. Because there were a lot of moments where, the fear monster did appear. But key is, fear is a natural response to something you've never done before. It's natural. But the courage comes when you feel the fear and you still march forward. That's it. Feel the fear. That's the advice I would give realtors.
I don't think we're going to get anything better than that. But any last words? Just take your time. You don't have to.
Last words for my realtor family. We are realtors. That means something, but it only means something when we stand together. We've got to stand together as an industry. We've got to support it through our PAC. We have to be aware of policy, show up to a RIBIC Lunch and Learn, and be there for your community. That's what I would tell the realtors.